What's up, y'all? It's your man, that dude, bring you guys another video. If you've been watching some of my videos, you might have seen where I don't find Deku to be that good of a character. I find him to be kind of boring and yada, 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 right? I've said this in other videos and I'll be saying it again in this one, what my problems with Deku are. But my man KDesigns was kind enough to join in on this conversation with me and give his thoughts and feelings on Deku. I have a link down to his channel in the description. I highly recommend you go check him out. He does some really good reaction videos, so you'll go give his channel a look. But in this video, I guess you can call it a video because most of it's just audio. We go back and forth about Deku, talking, giving our different perspectives on his character. Like most conversations, we do get a little off topic at some points, but we do bring it back around to talking about Deku, My Hero Academia. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video and give it a listen or give it a watch or listen, watch it, you know.
So, what exactly is your opinion about Deku in My Hero Academia? Like, how do you actually feel about him? You know, like so, fans aside and shit.
Yeah. Sorry. So, in my videos, like, I don't think Deku's a bad character. I think Deku is a boring character given the show that he is set in, right? So, I talk about his personality and then also the quirk that he has is a one for all. So you start with the quirk, and a show full of all these amazing quirks, all these like super imaginative quirks. You have one for all, which basically makes Deku a janky ass Superman. So he's just Superman who can't fly, and he's set in a show that has all these cool ass quirks, like Bakugo can sweat nitroglycerin, or damn, what's the girl who does the gravity? What's her name?
Her name is Oshiko.
Yeah,
Uraraka.
She can reverse. Yeah, Uraraka. Yeah.
Yeah.
She can reverse gravity. Then you have a guy who can like shoot tape out of his elbows. You have shit like that.
Dead ass.
Deku with one for all, who's just can punch and kick hard. And then from there, his character, he's just like a rehash of like other shonen protagonists, where he's like super nice all the time. He's kind of meek in the beginning, and then it's just all his strikes is very boring. There's nothing like interesting to me about Deku as a character.
No, I understand what you mean, honestly. Deku's not really a self-insert, but he kind of is, though. Sort of like, he has his own personality. You know, he's supposed to be the nerd of the group that just so happened to have the potential that no one else has. You know, he's supposed to be the chosen one, kind of. So I get it. But at the same time, though, I do feel like they kind of did rehash a few shonen tropes with Deku. You know, being timid from the get-go, being relatively nice to everyone. Even whenever he's treated dirty. But I do feel like there's a few redeeming moments for Deku that I really like, though. You know, especially the interaction between him and Shoto. You know, during that tournament arc, whenever he had him conclude that, you know, his abilities is his and he gets to use them however he likes instead of being in his father's shadow. I like that Deku was trying to, you know, teach him that. Although I'm really curious on when he's going to get his own character arc, because really it seems like he's kind of a stagnant character. That makes sense. You know, I don't feel like...
Yeah, I get what you mean. He's out of a show full of interesting characters. He himself is not interesting. So it's all the side characters. Like Bakugo. I think Bakugo is one of the better anime characters to come out in the past 5 or 10 years. Todoroki is also a really good character. You have all these good supporting characters that outshine Deku from a story standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, they have some cool characters in the series. I will say that Deku, he has hope. He has hope. I feel like ultimately he's just a day away from getting his story arc. I mean, I think in the manga, I'm not really reading the manga at the moment, but I have seen a few spoilers and I have seen that I think they're starting to show the villain side of things in the series, starting to show how they see it, and more or less it seems like the heroes are less heroic than we thought they were. Even Deku, he does some questionable things or says some questionable things, and I'm starting to find that interesting. So I wonder on how far they're willing to take it, you know.
Hey, I see what you mean. The show definitely has a huge critique of capitalism. You can see where they like they meld capitalism and heroes together, and they kind of critique it from that standpoint.
Exactly.
So we're sticking with it. Yeah. So
actually, that was what Stain was trying to say too, right? If you remember that, you know, he was trying to apply the politics based around heroes is you know, completely utterly useless. It's like it's pointless. It's against the point of a hero, and it's like everyone thinks of being a hero as being more of a celebrity than justice, if that's the case.
Yeah, so like that's one thing I do like about My Hero Academia, because I am ultimately a fan of the show, and so I do like, because I think that's probably the most realistic way you would have heroes. If heroes were real, I think that would be used by certain industries as like a capitalistic endeavor. So you have people like Uruaka who come in and she wants to be a hero because her family is poor and she wants to make money. She didn't want to be a hero to save people and just be like do the ultimate good. No, she's broke. She needed some bread, so she's like, I'll go do this hero shit. So I
Hey,
do like when the show comes into that angle.
hey, she's hustling though. I tell you that. You know, she got herself a
Yeah,
full ride scholarship right there. You know, I mess with it.
I'm not even mad at her.
Although I will admit, though, I think she had an interaction with one of the villains. I think I forgot her name. It's I think she's kind of like a yandere, the blonde girl. What's her name?
Yeah, yeah. I know you're talking about. I can't remember her name.
Yeah, I think they had an interaction, and it seemed like Ochiko kind of came off as an asshole, kind of like she wasn't trying to see her side of things, and which makes sense. I mean, ideally, in this world, it's like what you're told is evil, you're gonna believe it's evil. You're not gonna look at the good side of things. You know, it's kind of like a lawful good, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and like one of the other critiques of the show was like a lot of times the bad characters tend to be the people who courts had them like horribly disfigured. So a lot of times the heroes, they look like regular people with their superpowers, like well, most of them. And then you have like a lot of these villains are just like horribly disfigured. So it creates the kind of like the discriminatory view of, okay, the people who are like ugly, those are the villains.
Yeah,
That's
and
that's how the show does look early on.
what's interesting is I think they had like it's kind of like a one shot manga. It's called like Vigilantes, and it seems that these guys, they're like heroes, but they're not like licensed heroes. So it was almost as if they were kind of like how Batman is, where it's like it's technically illegal to go in the street beating people up with your own self-righteous I guess beliefs, but overall what they're doing is still technically good. And like what you were saying, how it's like it's turned so political to where it's like you need to have like certification to be marked off as a hero. It's not about what you do anymore.
Yeah, and it's weird because you can see it from both sides of the issue, right? On one hand, yeah, you kind of want your heroes to be registered and have them be following orders from somebody. You don't just want to have all these superpower people out here doing whatever they want. On the other hand, you don't want like politicians and like business people telling heroes what they should be doing. Heroes should just be out saving people. So like you see both sides of the issue. Like you see why Stain has the problems that he has with the current society. Also, you can't just have a bunch of people out here with superpowers just doing whatever the hell they want.
Yeah, but we are kind of getting a little bit off the topic though.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
do
for
feel
real.
like Deku is I feel like he's not a bad protagonist. I just feel like he needs to have his story arc though, because at the moment he is kind of running stagnant. I mean, sure, he's definitely much more I'd say he's much more confident than he was whenever he first was introduced. But then that was around a time where he had no abilities and he knew that he almost had no shot into getting into UA, considering that he didn't have powers. But now that he has powers, naturally he's turning more into himself, I guess. And he already concluded that he wants to step out of All Might's shadow and, you know, be his own hero, which was also good. That was progression also. I like that. But we really have to see how far they're going to take it, because, you know, right now Deku's kind of just shonen protagonist number 3 at this point, you know.
Yeah, yeah, like he's definitely a stagnant character, and one of my main issues with his character is that this show builds him to be an underdog. But Deku is nobody's underdog. He's given the strongest quirk in the world in like the second episode of the show. So this whole idea of him being some kind of underdog, it kind of goes out the window. Like, yeah, he has to train to master one for all, but everyone has to train to master a quirk. Like Lemillion had to train to master his quirk. Todoroki has to train to master. Everybody trains to master their quirk. So the fact that Deku has to work hard doesn't really make him special. And he was
well,
given his quirk.
well, what's interesting is he was always just a regular human just before this, if you think about it. So the fact that he's really learning how to use his quirks so good, and it's only been about a span of a year or two. I think that's pretty impressive. You know, these guys, they've had their quirks since like a very young age. So I think it's his work ethic that makes him impressive, not exactly his skills or talents, really. But I think that's kind of where it stops for me, because, you know, I love a dedicated protagonist, you know, a protagonist that's willing to put the work in to become better. You know, self-improvement is always a big thing for me. But that's the thing, he seems almost perfect at that point, you know. It's like he doesn't win every fight, but you get this idea that Deku's gonna always survive, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so like he works hard, but I don't think that he outworks anyone else per se. So it's like, to give like a sports analogy, say you go out and find some dude who's super quick, super tall, has a 50-inch vertical, but he's never played basketball before. And so you can train him the skills, but he has this naturally high floor. The Deku, when he was given One for All, has a naturally really high floor from the beginning. So you put his hard work on top of that, and he's just OP almost from the get-go. If that makes sense of what I'm saying. It's not like he started out like with like, yeah, so he did start out with nothing, but he was given everything, and he just had to learn how to control everything.
More or less. But then I guess, no, I can't even say he has a good teacher, because really All Might doesn't really teach him much. So
no, All Might's just like, here man, here's this thing, good luck.
More or less, I mean, that's kind of like all shonen teachers, if you think about it. I mean, I never really remember Kakashi going out of his way to teach Naruto anything. If you think about it.
Nah, he taught him the Rasengan, and that was about it.
Kakashi? Because nah, that was Jiraiya. You know, Jiraiya taught him the Rasengan. Kakashi, I think he only really trained Sasuke, if you think about it. I mean, I guess he taught them the fundamentals. You know, he taught them how to, like, you know, how to run on water, you know, how to run up trees, chakra control. But it's very, very basic stuff, you know. But he never actually taught Naruto techniques that he could really use for battle. And I think that was kind of the point. I feel like some teachers in shonens, they just don't really teach them shit past the fundamentals. But specifically, All Might doesn't teach Deku anything, though. Now I think about it, all the moves that Deku got from All Might was because it was in reference of All Might. You didn't actually learn it from him. And whenever Deku came to the conclusion he wants to be his own hero and started to, you know, create his own fighting styles that's, you know, stemmed apart from All Might's way of fighting, it wasn't because All Might told him to. It was kind of just, he figured that that was the way to go, if you think about it.
It was out of necessity, man. He's going to destroy his arms.
But then, no, that's cool, though, because I think that's kind of what brings Deku's character full circle. It's kind of like his work ethic is what makes him admirable. But that's all I can really say about Deku, though. You know, I definitely can see him becoming much more complex as time goes. You know, he's even though he's stagnant, he changes the world around him, kind of like how Luffy does in One Piece, if you think about it.
Yeah, so he's like so if he's modeled after Luffy, and like the way Luffy is modeled after like a Goku, where Goku is the same character from Dragon Ball to end of GT or whatever, but he just affects everyone around him. And I think you can get away with that in like the 90s and early 2000s. That is, today you have so much good story writing where I think your MC has to be a little more complex. Although like My Hero Academia is like wildly popular, so obviously I'm wrong on that one. But just to me, I would need more from that for my main character. Like the hard work thing, like yeah, I wouldn't say that Deku doesn't work hard. He obviously does. But I don't think he outworks any other characters. Like I wouldn't say he works harder than Bakugo. I wouldn't say he works harder than like a Lemillion, right? He doesn't work harder than Lemillion. I don't think his hard work is special.
Yeah, I see what you mean. It's probably because we see the story through Deku's perspective, so it seems like he's the hardest worker. Hell, like back in high school, I still run track and field in college, but back in high school I ran track and field, and I always had this mentality of I always worked harder than everyone, but that was mostly because I see myself working out all the time, but I don't see people outside of practice, if that makes sense. So that's more or less what we see from Deku's side of things. You know, we see him working out and then down low, you know, see him thinking of strategies, you know, writing people down, writing down notes and shit. But really, the other classmates probably do that too. I mean, they're supposed to be the top of their class, if you think about it, more or less. I mean,
like, yeah. Quick little side note: what events you do in track? I ran track too.
Oh, I run the 800 and the 4 right now.
Oh, you running right now in college?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, I did the 300-meter hurdles and the 400, and I threw disc.
God damn. You are a soldier to do those hurdles, bro. Like,
I didn't pick them, man. The coach put me out there one day. He's like, "Hey, man, try this." And I tried it. He's like, "Cool, that's your event now."
honestly, man, that is you, bro. Hurdles, man, those are no joke. I mean, we only have like one woman hurdler in our team, and I think she does like 400 hurdles. Is it 400 or 300? I think it's 400 hurdles for girls, right?
I think so.
Yeah, she does the 400 hurdles, and she be dying. Like, she be dying. Like, after practice, she just be on the floor for about like 10 to 20 minutes straight. You know, she
man,
just needs to rest.
Like, you know, track was like my secondary sport. Like, football is my main thing. And to go back to your thing about hard work, one thing I picked up on early on is like, yo, the people who work the hardest are the people who don't play. Those dudes sitting on the bench who never get in, those are the guys that really work the hardest. The people on the field usually has more natural talent. Like, there are plenty of guys who sat on the bench behind me who were worked out more than me. They just happened to be smaller than me, or not as strong, or not as fast, and so they didn't get to play.
My fault. Yeah,
You're
right, man. You're right. To be honest, I know I've been saying a lot because I'm really thinking off the top of my head. You know, I usually I'm used to getting like kind of scripts and bullet points when it comes down to like discussing, but you know, since we're kind of just talking off the dome, I actually do have to sit down and really think about this because I don't want to just shoot down Deku as just some average guy that just has a special ability, or maybe some average guy that just so happened to be the MC. But at the same time, though, your points are starting to, it's really making sense though. You know, right now that we think about it, it's like everybody else really works just as hard as he does. The only difference is Deku didn't have powers prior, so now he's busting his ass. I don't really remember seeing him train before this, though. If you think about it, he didn't really train until he had the abilities.
And another thing is that I think having Deku like start the way he did and then end up like ultimately being one of the strongest heroes, in a way, it kind of sends the wrong message, right? Because the story could have chose to have Deku go like the Batman route, where it's like, cool, I don't have any powers to acquire, but fuck it, I'm gonna make my own stuff. I'm gonna find a way to become a hero. And that's not what the show did. The show's like, nah, you can't be a hero unless you're special. That's basically the message that the show is sending, because Deku couldn't become a hero until he became special, and he became special. All Might gave him one for all,
which just so happens to be much more busted than we thought it was. You know, due to the latest manga chapters.
I'm not even on that. I'm not even on the latest manga chapters, but it's just the core is going to be stronger as it gets passed down. So if he masters one for all, he'll be stronger than All Might, who was the strongest hero.
Yeah, so it's almost like he's destined to be that strongest hero, and he narrates it as if he's already the greatest hero. So we're kind of just watching him on his journey of becoming the greatest hero, not really watching a story of a man who can become the greatest hero. So we kind of know how it's going to go down.
Yeah, it goes to the whole underdog thing, where the show builds him as an underdog. It tries to sell you on Deku as an underdog. But it's telling you from the get-go, like, nah, this dude is going to be the strongest hero. Like, you kind of can't have it both ways, where like you tell us from the up front is going to be the strongest hero, but also try to sell him as an underdog at the same time.
Honestly, but hey, I can't say he has no struggle though. You know, I mean, bro has been killing himself when it comes down to this training shit. You know, dead ass. This dude, he's probably gonna lose an arm eventually. From what I'm seeing, this guy is getting busted up. You know, we already know from like past arcs, he's been like busting up his fingers, having to get the surgery done on it back to back. He still has scars from all of his battles. So I do feel like there's a struggle. I just feel like psychologically though, we gotta have that character arc for Deku though. You know, not just you know, the physical stuff, because you know he's not a meathead. You know.
So that's why I would never argue that Deku is a bad character. Like, there are certain things about Deku that I think are fun to watch. And ultimately, like when he's on camera, I'm not like, here comes Deku. So it's like I don't hate his character. I just I think the show I do think if there are other characters in the show that if the show is based around them, I think it'd be a much more interesting show, right? So if the show, so let's say, we're based around Bakugo, and the story was that we get to watch this kid who went from thinking he was the shit and having the strongest corp into being everybody telling him he's going to be the greatest. He gets to U of A, and then he's not the greatest anymore. There's all these other kids who have stronger corps than him, or maybe corps who are just as strong as him. And he gets to watch this kid he bullied become stronger than him, and we get to watch his character arc of having to deal with all that. And so we get to follow him like all the time. I think that makes more interesting story watching Deku along the path he's on.
But who knows? I mean, honestly, we don't even know how far they're gonna take My Hero. You know, some people are speculating it might end earlier than we thought. Some people thought it's gonna be longer running, but who knows? They'll probably do a Boruto Next Generations type shit for My Hero Academia, and you never know what they'll do for Deku's son. They might make him something like that, where he's like super talented, but at the same time, like he has his own struggle. You never know.
Man, with the amount of money that show is making, they're not ending that show anytime soon. I don't think, unless they're like the creator has some health issues. I just don't see that show ending anytime soon.
Honestly, it doesn't need to. Really, I feel like as long as they know how to develop every character that's actually important, because in Naruto, more or less, I feel like they tried to make us care about the Konoha 11, or I guess at the time they were Rookie 9. They wanted us to care about the Rookie 9, but more or less we only knew about 3 or 4 of them. I don't think we ever seen Team Kurenai actually hang out. We never seen them do anything.
Nah, so it runs to a lot of a lot of these shows run into the same problem. You introduce these huge casts, but then the writer kind of figures out as the story goes along, oh no, it's almost impossible for me to like fully flesh out all these characters. So they start dropping characters off one by one. You almost forget they even exist. Because like almost all these shows do it, where they start out and you have like 10 or 15 characters that seem kind of cool. But over the course of like the first 2 seasons, you just don't see those characters anymore because the writers, I just can't integrate all the people into the story.
You see, and that's why I was acting a bit pessimistic when I was first watching Jujutsu Kaisen, because I was thinking, okay, we have all these cool looking characters, you know, all these cool characters with different personalities. They're all quirky and shit, but I'm just like, okay, well, how far are we gonna take it? We already know Yuji's gonna be the prime focus, and then, you know, we have like folks like Megumi and Nobara, but right now we're already second half of the show, and really they haven't gotten a single fight. They haven't won a single fight. The only ones that's been catching dubs is Yuji and their sensei Gojo. And I'm just like, okay, this is where we're going. This is where we're taking it. Where we just have the characters that's there just to be there, but we're not actually doing anything with them.
I lean the other way. Part of the reason why I think the show is going to handle that fairly well is that they started off so slow with a lot of the characters. So like we haven't really seen Nobata or Megumi get like a real power up. Usually a lot of these times these shows, they have those characters the power up when we see them like win like 1 or 2 battles, and that's it, like a Rock Lee or a Choji or a Shikamaru, where they get like these like few battles here and there early on that are really cool. That's it. Or like Megumi and Nobata, we haven't seen them really do much. So I kind of think that might bode well, as that they're trying to start off really slow with these characters, and then that'll over the time to have more consistent story arcs since they're starting off so slow. At least I'm hoping that's how it works out.
I hope so, because we know Megumi definitely has something in store for him. You know, based on what Sukuna, we are getting super off topic, but whatever. Based on what Sukuna said, he was saying that this guy is holding back, and like, why are you holding back? And even Megumi was like, I don't know what you're talking about, but clearly there's something big about Megumi that we don't know. But Nobara, though, that's where I'm asking, like, what's the angle with that? Because it's like, people gonna kill me for this, but I don't look at her any different from Yuji. Like, when I look at her, I think of female Yuji, and I don't feel like I should be feeling that way. In general, it's kind of like, okay, personality wise, she's almost no different from Dude. Maybe she's a bit more on the angrier side, but that's just her trying to be independent. But besides that, though, I didn't really get much of an impression out of her besides being a pretty face.
I kind of see what you mean. Like, from a personality standpoint, they're definitely very similar, where they have like a lot of the same outbursts and everything. She just used more to like the angry, violent end of the spectrum. Like, part of me like also thinks that's why like I like her character as much as I do, because usually like she kind of she's not really a tsundere. Like, she has tsundere tendencies. She's not a tsundere because there's no like hidden like romantic feelings from Megumi or Yuji. It's not like every time they like touch her or look at her wrong, she like has an outburst. I can't say she's a tsundere, so I don't want to compare her to like a Rukia or like a Sakura or something like that. She's not like that.
They kind of look at her as like one of the homies.
Yeah,
They don't talk to her like a girl at all.
Man, they just show her like she's one of the guys that like. On one hand, I do kind of like that because I think it's a new as far as like female characters in shonen anime. She hasn't really gotten a lot of development outside the first time they introduced her, where we learned like where she comes from and why she wants to be introduced to sorcerer. Outside of that one episode, we haven't really seen shit else from her yet.
Hey, based on how they're building it up though, because of that one episode that was dedicated to her, I'm thinking there's definitely going to be a big plot point with her and her sister, her passing sister. We don't know nothing about that. But I'm not a manga reader, so we're not going to even get into that. But you think we should end it off right here though?
Yeah, so like I said, to tie it up, I guess, to bring this back around to My Hero Academia, I guess this will kind of be like, so My Hero Academia, we have like, it's like what are your two like biggest supporting characters, like a Todoroki and a Bakugo. I guess we hope those characters don't fall off so they can focus more on Deku. I hope they were to focus on Deku, also having those characters that have complete story arcs. Because in this last season, Bakugo kind of took a back seat. We didn't see much of Bakugo or Todoroki really, for that matter.
Yeah, that was more of a Deku story right there.
Yeah, so like I hope that has become a trend where to focus more on Deku, they have to lose these characters that I think are actually more interesting than Deku.
Well, based on what I'm hearing in the manga, Todoroki's gonna get something. Him and what's Endeavor? Yeah, they gonna get something. They have a little issue with a certain villain. We're not gonna get into spoiler territory though.
All right, good. Like as far as characters in the show, Todoroki is probably my second favorite character in the show. So yeah, I hope he gets some more development. But
yeah,
mainly like my main is Bakugo. They really threw Bakugo in the back burner this past season. We barely saw the dude.
It's just crazy because I think he has like one of the biggest fan bases in the series.
Yeah, he's. I mean, I know like I keep saying he's like he's the best character, but I don't see an argument as to for anyone else being a better character than Bakugo from My Hero Academia. Like, yeah, he's not very likable, but just as a character, the dude is awesome.
Oh god, I mean, yeah, he's cool. Not the biggest Bakugo fan per se, but I see why people like him. You know, it took a while for me to understand that. But
I was on the Bakugo train from the get-go.
Yeah, but honestly though, I think that's all I got for My Hero though. To be honest.
All right, man.
All right. Well, shoot. You want me to end this off or should you?
Yeah, but we can end off right here, and then I probably record like a separate ending that I put on when I post the video.
All right. Well, in that case, check out bro's channel. He makes some good ass content. He's very consistent. He drops a lot more reactions and discussions than I do. So check his shit out pronto. Get my boy up to, how many subs you got right now?
I'm at 144, 145, something like that.
Get my boy up to 500. No cap. Get him to 500 pronto.
Hey, appreciate it, man.
That's pretty much the end of the discussion, guys. Again, go check out my man KDesignZ channel. There's a link down in the description. Go give his videos a watch. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, go hit that thumbs up. And if you were so inclined, subscribe and share. It would help me out a lot. If you didn't like the video, let me know in the comments. We can talk about it. I'll respond to almost everything. Also, feel free to follow, hit me up on Twitter at DadDoAnime. And I'll see you guys in the next one.